Hey, everybody. I am hanging out in the office today, surprise, with my good friend and colleague, Robi Alstrom.
Hi, guys.
And she has a book that she has written, new book that she's written. It's called
A Grammar Journey Beyond Worksheets.
And I know you guys are looking at it backwards. I know. You'll find it. It'll be fine. A Grammar Journey Beyond Worksheets. The book, see, I'm really excited to share this with you because I hear all over, everywhere, where people are like, oh my God, worksheets are bad, they're terrible. And you know, they are. And they're boring.
Yes, they are.
And they're not fun. And they're not working, because if they were working, we still wouldn't see the grammar issues that we do. Because we've been doing grammar worksheets on kids for how many decades?
A long time. And really part of the birth of this book really came from the research on writing, and the idea that the research actually indicates that traditional grammar instruction, which is our diagramming sentences and doing grammar worksheets or workbooks, actually has a negative effect size on student writing achievement. And so really it was that research that kind of led me to change how I teach grammar.
But I love diagramming sentences.
I do too, and I will diagram sentences over a summer vacation with you, over cocktails if you want to. But
she knows me.
Yeah, but we also need to be sure that we are using strategies that are more effective with students and what really works with students. So, diagramming sentences might be a great activity for advanced students once they really have mastered those functions in their writing. It helps to see those other possibilities, but it's not a great teaching tool for students.
Research is saying that is detrimental, not just not helpful, but detrimental.
Actually has a negative effect.
Oh
yeah, is that amazing?
Okay.
I was shocked when I heard that.
So then, here's the rough thing. If I'm teaching grammar, which by the way I've had to teach grammar before, I've gotten to teach grammar before, and I didn't. Okay, we might have used worksheets. A little bit. I'm not going to lie, but I needed them to learn it because there's only just so much that I can expect them to be able to use. And, we would, in everyday conversation, I would expect it, but, and I saw kids get better. I mean, significantly better with their grammar when we as a whole school decided to make an issue of it, but not like hey, no, just a quick correction, we moved on. But it's got to be more than that, because you can't write a book with just that. So what should we be doing?
Yeah, really what it indicates is that we need to be focusing on the function of the words rather than labeling them. And if you look at most of our grammar worksheets, we're spending a lot of time identifying and labeling rather than using. And so we really want to be focusing on the function of the words in our writing.
Underline this in purple, underline this in orange, circle it.
I've spent a lot of time doing that with students. But really, I think after the research I did shift and really focused on student writing and using those things in student writing. But the second part of that journey to really giving good grammar instruction was rethinking how I use the terminology that we use in grammar and the definitions. And I started looking at, the definitions, and I think really they only make sense to people who already understand grammar.
Surprise.
Yeah. And the terminology that we use, I think, is more confusing to students and helpful. So I really have tried to start with a student-friendly definition. So rather than subject and predicate, let's just start with who and the do. Verbals, we call verb imposters. They look like verbs, but they're really just dressed up to look like verbs. They really function differently. Appositives, I just call interrupters. And so if we really start with something the students understand that makes sense to them, and then we really look at mastering that function in our writing, and then later on we can go back and put those official labels on those things.
Oh, that is super. So there's people in here who, by the way, hi Mika, he's from Finland, saying hello.
Oh, great.
Yeah, a musician and just a good all-around human being. My friend Rachel, who works just south of here a little bit, said she just had a similar conversation about vocabulary words. It's not just knowing the word, but how it's used.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. If you guys had questions for her, because she's way smarter than me, if you have questions for her about grammar or teaching grammar or hooking kids into it to where it's interesting, now's your time, man. Type those things in there. Let's see how that goes, because I do my best guess. She actually knows the research and, has a couple of years experience.
Yeah.
I'm taking notes already on what she's saying. So if we're using it in writing, I'm just going to be the bad guy here,
Okay.
if that's okay. 'Cause
Absolutely.
it's an easy role. How do we expect kids to use grammar in writing if they don't know how to use it? Don't I have to teach them how to use it, and don't they have to practice it?
Absolutely, we want them to practice it, and I want to model what those possibilities are. But there are ways, I think we always begin with oral language, because oral language really is the foundation for reading and writing both. And really starting that idea of the sentence and the complete sentence very early, kindergarten and first grade, and laying that foundation. And what I really discovered in writing this book was that almost everything that we need to know, or the reason why we need to know grammar, goes back to subjects and predicates. And everything else is kind of tied in with that. So if we start with that, writing those sentences, and then we show students what are those other grammatical constructions that we use. An example, really easy to teach students to start a sentence with a prepositional phrase that tells where or when, because almost anything that happens, it happened at some time or place. And so that's a really easy way for students to understand that I don't always start subject, verb, subject, verb, subject, verb every sentence. Here's another tool I have in my toolkit. And then we just keep kind of building on those basic things that we have, and really not looking at labeling what somebody else has done, but how do I use those different things to create better writing.
I like that. I like that a lot. It's natural.
We hope so, because it really should
And it's
be.
not scary. Okay, Amanda had a really smart question. When would you start teaching grammar? Like what age, what grade, what's that thing that says these babies are ready to start really looking at the construction of language, or English at least?
Kindergarten. And I think we do kindergarten with the who and the do, and we do it with oral language, and we do it with the students acting out the who and the do. So something that would be very easy is, if Ginger is one of my students, I would have Ginger stand up, and I would ask her to hop. And then my sentence becomes Ginger hops. And I ask my students, what's the who? Ginger. What's the do? Hops. And we can go through several students, and what I'm doing is I'm laying that foundation that, number one of our examples of a noun is a person. So a person can be a noun. Ginger is a person. Our verb is an action, and we notice that every time we have that sentence, they're doing some action with it. My next step then, after we've done that, for kind of got the idea of a who and a do, is I say, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. The who can also be a what, and an animal is one kind of what. And so I have a student name an animal. The next student tells me something that animal might do. We create a new sentence. The zebra runs. And this is also the point where, if I want to, I can start working on capital letters and periods. So we use a fist pump. So the zebra runs. And then we put our period on. And we're doing all of these things that are really good grammar with kindergartners through oral language. I've got really what nouns are. There's a person or an animal. We'll get to a thing later on. The verb is an action. I've got starting with a capital. I've got ending with a period. So I think if we start it in oral language activities in kindergarten, man, third grade teachers are going to be out of a job, because they'll all be mastered by third grade. That was an exaggeration. That's my dream world.
Well, but seriously, if we don't start, because I don't know, when do we normally start grammar in a traditional classroom, in a traditional school?
With the Common Core standards, we do have grammar standards all the way down to kindergarten. And what the Common Core standards did, for those of you who are following those, who might be assessed on those, skills that I used to consider like a junior and high school level grammar score really has been pushed down to 8th grade. The standards have students writing compound sentences in 1st and 2nd grade, and these are really pretty advanced constructions, unless we approach them in the right way.
Well, and that's been a big gripe for a long time with the very beginning introduction of the Common Core, is that my babies aren't ready for this. And this is a great bridge to see it can be done, because my guess is, tell me if I'm right or wrong, and Amanda, you can back my play too, or not, is that I was taught with worksheets. And I believe that teachers teach how we're taught. And so when I know that I need to teach grammar, I'm going to pull out worksheets. And you're like, worksheets like this for my littles? And we know it's wrong, but we didn't know anything else.
We don't want worksheets for the little people. It should all be done oral language. And what I even say is, you know, you have your standards, and I know as a conscientious teacher you want to address those, but put the standards away for at least the first 9 weeks and do oral language, do sentences, do subject, predicate. We're also getting subject-verb agreement in there, and we're really laying all those foundations that really are the basis for everything else that we do in grammar.
All right, so let's say I'm a 5th grade teacher, and I find that my kids, while they've been taught grammar, come to my class and they don't know it. Now, I can be mad and I can say, well, they should know that. Well, they should, but if only they had a teacher around. Oh, I'm a teacher. I can teach it. Can I start the strategies that you're talking about, even in 5th grade or 6th grade or 7th grade?
Absolutely. And, you know, the book really outlines a progression, and so, you know, the first chapter is subjects and predicates, and it really gives that, you know, just where do we start and where do we go. So you just identify where your students are, and that's where we start with them, and then we just go on from there. There are activities that are...
Tons of activities. You see these things? Each one of these is a different activity.
And we actually have a website on the literacyleader.com website. You can access resources that match up with this.
Literacyleader.com?
Yes, that's correct. And so there are what we call grade band roadmaps, and so it's a list of all the standards, and then we identify the different activities that meet the standards.
Is this why you have roadmaps?
Yes, we do. It's all a grammar journey.
She is so good with this.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not theory. This is just pack to pack to pack to pack.
Here's something you do. We do start each chapter or each section with what we call for teachers only. And this is the official grammar terminology and the official grammar definitions, but it is not what we're expecting teachers to say to students.
Aha. Got it. Okay, so Rachel says, this is the boat I'm in for my 4th and 5th graders. Here we are. I'm telling you guys, this is a grammar journey beyond worksheets, Robi Alstrom. And by the way, you do workshops.
I do. Yes. We just finished 3 workshops, 3 different grade bands on this, and we'll be doing another one before 2nd semester.
Do you know what grade bands they are?
We do K2, 3-5, and 6-8, and that really is what the book is designed for. It's a K8. We really haven't addressed a lot of the high school things as much, but it's a great place to start.
Oh my gosh.
But I can also guarantee you my high school students didn't know all of this either.
So, I know they don't. Yeah. As a high school teacher, they come to me and I'm like, oh, children, I love you. Yeah. But I don't know how to get that. So this is really nice. Guys, hey, I'm going to put a link to, this is for sale?
It is for sale.
Well, how much it cost?
$30.
$30 for packed activities for K8.
And all of the resources that are mentioned in the book are on the Literacy Leader website, so hopefully you don't have to recreate everything. But what we did there was we tried to leave it as a Word document or a PowerPoint so that you can change it and customize and make it your own.
Yeah, that's what I love about Robi, is that she understands a real classroom, real kids, real teachers, realities, and makes it work for us. Not just somebody who's talking in the either. Tell me, what's the word am I talking about? Talking in either? Talking out the guru land, saying, you know, don't do worksheets. If you do, you're a bad person. You're a bad teacher. I get that. Yeah, sure. But she says, instead, we can do these things too that are really doable, that are still focused on the things we need to. You guys rock. Thanks for being in the audience with us. And Robi, thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
And I'm going to put a link to where you can get her book and also the literacyleader.com website. I'll put that link on this too as soon as we hang up here. But share this. If you know some people who are struggling, or you know that they're teaching ELA, then we gotta break this chain, y'all. Some worksheets and packets. Are you kidding me? I'm just as bad as anybody. Thanks. Love you guys.
Bye.